You know, it's funny here. The New York Times has a story. You know, all this time they've been telling us that Boehner was the reason there was gridlock. Right? So now the New York Times has a story worried about what Boehner leaving is going to mean for gridlock. So they're now admitting, indirectly, but they're admitting, the New York Times, that Boehner was not responsible for the gridlock. But that's not totally true either. But again, folks, there's nothing wrong with gridlock, especially now. The views expressed by the host of this program recently documented to be almost always right 99.8% of the time. It took 2 years to climb 1/10 of a percentage point. I had to be right consistently for that long just to raise it 1/10 of a point, but it happened. Welcome back, folks. It's great to have you here. Telephone number is 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program. And the email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are revising. You know, I said not long ago these people are stuck in the 90s. The Clintons in terms of their worldview and how they deal with scandal and problems. And they are faced with a lot of problems now. A lot of donors are leaving the Clinton Global Foundation or Clinton Global Initiative. People are not showing up to the thing. This email, even Hillary is now using the term drip, 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 which I think was popularized by me on this program. And she was on with F. Chuck Todd yesterday, and he asked her a series of questions and just let her answer them and ramble and contradict herself, but he didn't point any of the contradictions out. But the point is that Bill Clinton's coming along now, and they're trying to revive this vast right-wing conspiracy again as the reason for Hillary's problems. Clinton on Friday said that he believes Republicans are exaggerating scandals against his wife, using the scrutiny over her email use while at the State Department to tear her down. He was on Fareed Zakaria Global Positioning Satellite, I guess the name of his show. Yeah, you know what, Fareed? By the way, why do you call yourself GPS? What? I've never figured that out. Just because I know you say the word world a lot. You think you're a world guy? Is that why you're GPS world? Well, anyway, Fareed, I think there's just lots of people who want there to be a race out there for different reasons. So they thought the only way they could make it a race was a full-scale frontal assault on Hillary. I know that's kind of a weird thing to envision, a frontal assault on my wife, but I think that's what it is. This email thing for Reid, it just became the biggest story in the world. Is all the Republicans do. And that's how they're doing it, folks. They're trying to once again make everybody think that Hillary is sailing along fine, nothing wrong, nobody doing anything that she disapproved of, or vice versa. And this vast right-wing conspiracy has come back to life once again to derail Hillary Clinton's ambitions yet again. That's all they know to do. Meanwhile, the list of policy failures, embarrassments, takes 3 pages to print out. There's an internet joke, one of these internet things going around, and it's Trump talking to Hillary about all of her scandals. And Trump says, there's this one out there, you're never going to get past this one. Oh, you mean the one where, and then lists like the Benghazi. No, Trump says, the other one. And he keeps going that way for 3 pages. It's an intriguing way of listing every boondoggle, every mistake, every lie, and some of them include the Clinton administration. It's just a great way to illustrate the woman's total lack of honesty and total incompetence. So anyway, now it's time to blame the Republicans for this. In the meantime, on the Republican side, just a couple of straggler Boehner stories here before we get to the Trump tax plan, which he announced today. Washington Times has a story here that the headline is, top GOP official seeks McConnell ouster as Senate leader GOP brand is being damaged. And this is no less than a Republican National Committee vice chairman. He is the Louisiana Republican chairman, Roger Villaire. And he wrote in a Facebook posting that McConnell needs to resign. He said that Mitch is a good and honorable guy, but the base is leaving our party. I'm out in the field all the time. He told us to the Washington Times, I'm out in the field all the time. We have all of our elections this year for state offices. And McConnell and all this is hurting us tremendously with our elections because the base is not showing up. He said, if we lose the battle, we will never win the presidency again in my lifetime. He's 66 years old. He says, I've worked for 12 years as chairman to build this party, and I just don't want to see it all go down the drain because they aren't willing to fight for what we believe in. Our base is demanding we do something or they're going to leave us. The GOP brand is being damaged. We are having to work from scratch to do all the groundwork we've already done with elections of Republicans to Congress and in the state because everybody's so furious at the leadership. And that's exactly right. And the leadership has always been aware of it, folks. The leadership has been well aware of what the voters that elected them want. They've been well aware they have not come through. And their attitude is tough toenails. You guys don't understand the jobs we have. You don't understand what it takes to get things done here. You guys don't understand that it takes compromise. You guys don't understand that you have to build coalitions. You guys, this is McConnell and Boehner talking to us. You guys don't understand that we have to work with people on the other side to get anything done. No. That's not what we don't understand. What we see is you doing exactly that, getting snookered every time you go into battle with them. Literally getting snookered. Or if you're not even playing and being just ramrodded right over. Anyway, I don't need to repeat the drill. You all get it. But this, Mr. Villaire, he is a Republican National Committee co-chair. He's the Louisiana chairman. From the Politico, they gave an op-ed space here to Michael Needham of Heritage Action for America. He's the CEO. Boehner betrayed his party. Why the Speaker's resignation is great news for conservatives. And there's three interesting pull quotes here. He ignored the hopes and dreams of those Republican voters who delivered Republican control of the House in 2010, the Senate in 2014, and instead pushed the agenda of Washington's ruling class. Yep, no mistake there. Here's the reality. In the past, politicians could afford to tell their constituents one thing and do something entirely else in office, which happens, by the way. You know, what they're doing is nothing new. What is new about it? Politicians lying is nothing new. Promising and then not delivering is nothing new. What's different about it this time? What do you think is different about it, Mr. Snerdley? That they did put up the pretense. They made it look like they were opposing. What's different now is they can't hide. There is simply too much news. There is too much tech. There is too much access. They can't hide behind what goes on behind closed doors, for example. It's all known. They can't hide behind any other barrier. Everything they're doing is right out in the open. And it's not being reported by the drive-by media. The drive-by media is doing everything they can to shelter these guys and protect them because it helps the Democrats to have Boehner and McConnell be doing what they're doing. Now, this is all being ferreted out by other members of Congress, the conservative caucus, for example, or others who are able to get the news out on their own without having to go through a network. So they don't have any secrets. Everything they're doing has been exposed. They can't rely on, you don't know how it works up here. Because now everybody does. Everybody now knows how it works. Do you realize what a monumental thing? Seriously now, folks, stop and think of it. Do you realize what a profound... Who was that? Was that Bill Clinton I was just looking at? Tell me that wasn't Clinton on Fox. Whew. I was going to say, he looked 95 years old. I said, whoa, what happened? That was a NASA guy? Oh, they're telling us about the flowing waters on Mars? Yeah, you watch. That's going to be Martian. 5. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, cool. My prediction has come true even before the program ends today. If you're on line 5 out there and you know who you are, hold on. If you're in Wichita, hang on. Don't hang up the phone. What is profound? You realize how profound it is that practically every Republican voter now knows what has been a secret in Washington for a long time. And that is, in Washington, there really aren't Republicans and Democrats. There's majority and minority. But they're all of the same insider or ruling class or whatever you call elite mindset. Their agendas are identical. And it is profound that the lid has been totally blown off of that. For the longest time, Republican voters actually believed that Republican elected officials were genuinely an opposition party and were pushing back and wanted to push back and opposed and disagreed with what the Democrats were doing. And the realization that's not the case, that's why this explosion's taken place. Republican voters simply aren't going to put up with it. I don't care what the issue. Amnesty, Obamacare, Keystone Pipeline. You have a Democrat president as radical as Obama is for 7 years and gets everything he wants. Sorry, you can't fool people. You can't convince them. As essentially McConnell, actually, his fallback excuse is, first is we need the Senate, or we need the House. No, I'm sorry, we need the Senate. We gave the Senate, and then the fallback, we don't have the White House. There's still nothing we can do. Everything we do is going to be vetoed. And so that has led to we're not even going to fight. And you don't understand. We can't fight. You want us to fight, but that would be a losing proposition. That would result in governments being shut down. We can't have that. And then they used to be able to get away with it is the point. They don't any longer. And I believe all these stories about McConnell being next. People serious about this. This is the country we're talking about here. From Gerald Seib in the Wall Street Journal, Boehner's exit leaves Republican establishment shaking. Tea Party forces increase power and further loosen Republican establishment's grip. Now, I'm not sure the establishment's actually shaking, but this is a start. I don't know how long ago it was I said. Now, it's a long time now. I mean, it would happen when people would call here and advance the notion that we had to go third party. And that's been going on for most of the 27 years. And each time somebody would call and say, nope, what we need to do is take over the Republican. Third party is not going to get anybody anywhere. Third party isn't going to win. Third party isn't going to have any members of Congress and the Senate. It may now be happening. First step, but it may now be happening. Okay, Donald Trump and his tax plan, an economic plan. He has released it, and here are the highlights. No tax would be assessed against individuals' earning. There will be a major tax reduction. Trump says in unveiling the plan, it'll simplify the code, it'll grow the economy at a level that it hasn't seen for decades. Tax would be zero for 31 million households that now pay tax. The highest individual rate would be 25% versus the current top rate of 39.6%. The number of rates would be consolidated from 7 to 4. The rates would be 0, 10, 20, and 25. The plan would impose 10% tax on overseas profits, and it would place immediate tax on overseas earnings. That's a tax that can now be deferred. And then, of course, there's the obligatory here, the attack on the carried interest portion, the low tax rate that hedge fund people earn. So let's go to the Trump sound bites as he explains this. Oops, what did I do with them? Here they are over here. I put them on the other side. This is this morning in New York City at Trump Tower. Trump had a press conference to talk about his tax plan. We have 3 sound bites. Here they are.
We're going to cut the individual rates from 7 brackets to 4. Simplification. 25%, 20%, 10%, and 0. If you're single and earn less than $25,000 per year, or married and jointly earn less than $50,000. So, very important. If you're single and earn less than $25,000, or married and jointly earn less than $50,000, you'll not pay any income tax. Nothing.
Okay, what do you think of that? You don't like it? Why don't you like it? Right, okay. Here's the problem with that for me. If you're not paying any tax, it's an incentive to stay at that earning level. It's an incentive. How many people do we hear about now who do not want a raise or don't even want to find a job because they will then no longer qualify for welfare? All right, that's the first bout. Here's the next one. This is the bite where he calls the elimination for the alternative minimum tax, a death tax, and the hated carried interest exemption.
This eliminates very strongly and quickly the marriage penalty, very unfair penalty. It eliminates the AMT, which is the alternative minimum tax. It ends the death tax. It's a double taxation. A lot of families go through hell over the death tax. It reduces or eliminates most of the deductions and loopholes available to special interests and to the very rich. In other words, it's going to cost me a fortune. It ends the current tax treatment of carried interest. Those are the hedge fund folks that I've been talking about for quite a while. They make a lot of money. Carried interest.
Got to take a break. I'll explain that again to you when we get back, and much more. I want to get this call before the guy has to hang up, folks. We'll get back to Trump here in just a second. I need to also ask you are you hearing a different Trump now? Yeah, Snerdley's nodding his head. I'm just asking you, are you hearing a different Trump or a difference in Trump now? But all that in due course. Here's Corey in Wichita. Glad you called. Great to have you on the program, Corey. Hi.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you very much. Gigadittos, Rush. Mega isn't enough. Once again, your prescience has paid off. At the noon news hour here in Wichita, I heard ABC interviewing the NASA scientists talking about the water on Mars.
Yeah.
And how it could lead to a proof that there was life or something.
Right.
So the ABC reporter, the female reporter, I don't remember her name, did come on and say Mars may have been more like Earth at one time, but she basically related it. Climate change may have brought about its desolate condition now. She didn't say those words, but pretty much they were equating climate change to Mars's condition now. And I was just floored when I heard this.
But now, wait a minute. You said that the ABC info babe did that in her question. Well, what did the NASA guy say in response?
Oh, no. It wasn't even an interview. It was, she was just playing his soundbite talking about it. Finding flowing water.
This InfoBabe journalist offered her opinion in the story?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's why I misunderstood. Journalists don't do that
right?
very much. That's why I was confused. So this, the InfoBabe...
that's why I had to get a hold I had to call in. I've been trying for almost 30 years to call you, and I get in on this one. But I could improve your percentage of being right, because this one did it in minutes, not weeks, days, months. Days,
yeah, but we have to be
right around the corner.
We have to be. This is just an InfoBabe doing it, and I'll take being right. I mean, I'm never going to throw that out. But until the NASA people say it, We know the drive-bys. I mean, that's why I was curious. She wasn't interviewing the NASA guy. She was doing a report on the NASA guy. And she said, she just opined, she just offered that it could well be that there had been climate change on Mars. Imagine that. And equating it to, of course, what's happening. There's climate change every freaking place in the universe, for crying out loud. There's climate change on Jupiter. The climate's changing. Everything everywhere is always changing. Nothing is static. Everything changes always. But I will not be proven right until some NASA guy, and it'll happen, even if he's led to it in questioning by a drive-by journalist, and until an actual scientist makes the claim, I will not actually say I've been right yet. Well, I think we can proclaim that I have been right. U.S. News and World Report today, quote, eons ago, ancient Mars had an extensive atmosphere along with an ocean 2/3 the size of our northern hemisphere and a mile deep, said Jim Green, the director of planetary science at NASA. Press conference today. Okay, now, look, how did they know that? How did they know that there was an ocean 2/3 the size of the northern, and that it was a mile deep? We haven't been there. We haven't probed a mile down on Mars. You may not remember this. And folks, I'm sorry if you think I'm a natural skeptic. It's not that I distrust as a matter of course. I've learned this. And it really hasn't taken any more than the propaganda and the phony science of global warming to make me doubt. I mean, we've had people claiming starting in 88 that we had 10 years to clean the oceans or we were going to die. Or in 1982 that we had 20 years to stop global warming, or that was going to be the end of this, and the polar bears are dying, the North Pole was supposed to have melted by now. None of it's come true. These are all predictions about many, many years in the future. Minimum 20 years, most likely 50 to 100 years. And there's safety in a prediction like that because nobody's going to be alive to know whether it came true or not. It doesn't take any courage to predict what something's going to be 50 years from now or 100. It does take courage to predict what the climate's going to do in the next 3 years. And you'll note we never hear that, do we? You ever heard a climate prediction for 2017? Have you heard a climate predict sea levels, Arctic ice, any of the other aspects of global warming or climate change? Do you hear any predictions of the next 2 years or 3? No, the only predictions we get are for 30 years from now, 50, 100 years from now, but never tomorrow, never next month, never next year. Which do you think would be easier to predict? Next year or 100 years from now? And then realize all this stuff is not based on any data whatsoever. It's all based on computer models predicting things. This guy, Mr. Green, Jim Green at NASA, may be a perfectly nice guy. But I'm sorry, the days where I listen to some scientists come out and say, yeah, there used to be Mars 2/3 covered with water and it was a mile deep. Because what comes next? He's the director of planetary science at NASA, and he said, after an unknown catastrophe, Mars suffered a major climate change and lost its surface water. Now, doesn't that fit amazingly well with the scaremongering they are engaging in about planet Earth? Was it Mars's version of Hurricane Katrina, do you think? And was there a President Bush on Mars at the time? No, Mr. Snerdley, I'm not joking here. I'm really serious about this. An unknown catastrophe. Unknown. How do we know then? If we're going to admit that it was an unknown catastrophe, how in the name of Sam Hill do we know what it was? And that it was brought on by climate change. Yes, sirree, Bob, that's what it was, folks. After an unknown catastrophe, Mars suffered a major climate change and lost its surface water. Well, of course, that's different than what they're saying here. The unknown catastrophes here are known, and they're going to cause us to be flooded by surface water. In 2007, February 28th, National Geographic, Mars melt hints at solar, not human cause for warming. This is National Geographic 8 years ago saying that data that we had collected on Mars now tends to indicate that it's the sun and not man that's causing changes on Earth. You think anybody today is going to go back and revisit that story in light of the discovery of flowing water on Mars? This is no different than a 5-year-old girl being rehearsed and programmed to walk out to visit the Pope in the middle of the street in Washington and hand him a note asking him for his support on illegal immigration. Sorry, folks, I'm not buying any of it. The evidence suggests that you shouldn't either. National Geographic had a long story just 8 years ago. Same scientists discovered that solar activity is what destroyed Mars. But now today, it's climate change. Unknown catastrophe brought on by climate change. I think this is, I have a word for this, not criminal, but this is dangerously incompetent. This is the attempted manipulation of people. This is hideous. To try to make something like this sound certain, without doubt. I don't know. It just irritates the heck out of me. Unknown catastrophe. We know that an unknown catastrophe, some years ago, brought on by climate change, destroyed all the water on Mars. And you watch how many people are going to be running around talking about it now. Yeah, man, it was really bad on Mars. Did you hear what happened on Mars? Why couldn't they have discovered a Starbucks up there so half of the Looney Tunes on this planet would want to leave? Why couldn't this falling water they've discovered be a Starbucks or something? Or a giant Nike store? Alex in Buffalo, New York, welcome to the EIB Network. Hello.
Hello, Rush. First-time caller after 25 years. Glad to speak with you.
Thank you, Alex, very much.
First of all, I was born and raised a Catholic, so I am certifiably Catholic. And I've always admired your ability to look at the big picture on these issues, and I was sort of waiting to see what your take would be on this. When was the last time a healthy, living pope was suddenly replaced by another pope in the Catholic Church?
Yes. I don't remember the last time a living pope, but I do know the last time a pope lived for a month after he was named pope. That'd be Pope John Paul. He mysteriously passed away not long after he was named pope, and that's how we got John Paul II.
That's correct.
But you're talking about Joseph Ratzinger, Pope Benedictus.
Yes.
Who just up and quit one day, and he's still around, and he's still living in papal headquarters in Italy. But they deposed him, or he wanted it. Well, whatever. And your question, when's the last time we ever remember that happening? I, of course, don't remember it happening.
No, I'm asking the question because I think it answers itself if you subscribe to the theory that maybe there is an agenda behind the Pope's comments. And
well, it's strange that you called today, and it's really strange that you happened to get through today, in addition to calling, because I now remember, And I'm angry at myself because I did not print this out. And I didn't print it out because I wasn't going to talk about it because it sounds so over the top. I read it over the weekend, and I've still got it somewhere. I save everything, and I have a very, very clever tagging system. I'm going to be able to find this. It was a story about a current member of the College of Cardinals who has written his biography. Or maybe it's not an autobiography, but it's a biography. One of the two. He's living, still alive. This biography that has either the galleys have been seen or it is soon to be published. An Italian cardinal, according to somebody who's seen the book, says that there is a liberal contingent in the College of Cardinals that wants the church to modernize, wants to open the church up to divorce, abortion under certain circumstances, gay marriage, and so forth. And that they engineered the removal of Pope Benedict and had chosen this pope, a cardinal from Argentina, because they thought he was the best one to carry their message. In other words, and the source for this is the cardinal himself and his biography. It's not somebody on the outside, like at the National Enquirer, saying they've seen this or heard about it. The source is actually from the particular cardinal who's engineered all this as biography. So proud of it that they're not even trying to hide what they did, that it's eventually going to be published in the man's book. It either has been published or it's soon to be. And you can understand maybe why I didn't print this out and make a big deal about it, because it does sound kind of far out. But when you look at every other institution around that seems to have been overrun, overtaken, or corrupted, however you want to describe it, by the left, it doesn't seem that far above and beyond reality. Let me take a brief time, and I'm going to find this using my expert search and tag system here. We'll have the details when we get back. Don't go away, folks. Sit tight. Okay, here we go. Stephen Hayward at Powerline is where I first saw this. The mystery of Pope Francis. Was there a Vatican coup? Now, Hayward is not a kook of any kind, nor is Powerline. Powerline is the site you may remember that exposed Dan Rather's fraud on that National Guard story. The article I was talking about 3 days ago, the National Catholic Register ran a very curious article about the contents of a newly published authorized biography of retired Belgian Cardinal Godfried Daniels, or Daniels, it's Danneels. And the Catholic Register article reports, quote, further serious concerns are being raised about Cardinal Godfried Daniels, one of the papal delegates chosen to attend the upcoming Ordinary Synod on the Family, after the Archbishop Emeritus of Brussels, that's him, confessed this week to being part of a radical mafia reformist group opposed to Pope Benedict XVI. In other words, this cardinal, this retired cardinal, has admitted that there is a coup, that there was a mafia of leftist cardinals that engineered the removal of Pope Benedict. At the launch of the book in Brussels this week, the cardinal said he was part of a secret club of cardinals opposed to Pope Benedict. He called it a mafia club that bore the name of St. Gallen. The group wanted drastic reforms of the church to make it much more modern, and for Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio, that's the current pope, to head it. The group also comprised Cardinal Walter Casper and the late Jesuit Cardinal Carlo Maria Martini. It's been documented in Austin Ivory's biography of Pope Francis, the Great Reformer. So there's a book that says this stuff, and it's an authorized biography of this retired pope. And I first read about it when I was checking out Powerline over the weekend. Don't expect there be anything made of this. I can't imagine that there would be. One final Donald Trump soundbite, and we'll come here back from the break at the top of the hour and start opening phones on what Trump's tax plan, his economic plan, how you receive it, what you think of it, some of the other news on the Republican presidential campaign. The final Trump soundbite. Well, first, let me explain carried. Carried interest is the rate of taxation that hedge fund operators pay. I don't know the history of it. I'm assuming that they have so much power because they have so much money that they have been able to craft a special section of the tax code for their type of business. Carried interest implies that their profits are not immediate, that their profits are deferred and taken over the passage of time, and because of that, they have secured a lesser tax rate. Now, I don't know what the reason is. That's just an educated guess. But the fact is that hedge fund operators they do not pay the 39.6% rate because their income is not categorized as ordinary earned income. It's called carried interest. And again, these economic people come up with their own lexicon purposely to keep people in the dark, to where you need a translation app to understand what they're talking about. And this is what Trump says that he is going to change, because he doesn't think that there are this many, uber wealthy people that need to get this kind of a tax break. And I've had a lot of people send me an email, Rush, this is dangerous. This sounds exactly like Obama's tax. This sounds exactly like what the liberals propose, taxing the rich. I can take you back, if you want, to the 1980s and Ronald Reagan saying the same thing about super rich. In fact, I'll do that in the next segment. Here's the final Trump bite, though. This is the ripping of Obama and building a soccer field for Club Gitmo terrorists. Listen to this.
I have a habit. When you get a bill, you call up and you negotiate. To me, that's a compliment. I want to take that thinking to the White House. I would bet you we could save 20% of our budget. We just spent $1 million building a soccer field, okay? A soccer field for our prisoners that happen to be in Guantanamo, okay? I don't like that. Why are they playing soccer is my question.
Why are they playing soccer? But he also went on to say, a flat piece of land. We didn't even have to excavate. Why do we spend $1 million to build a soccer field for terrorist prisoners at Club Gitmo? Got to take a break. We'll be back. Don't go.